20 and 21 in the two games at Stanford in the playoffs in '82. Trotsky takes high and in. Oh, my goodness! No! No! That's terrible! That is terrible! That is terrible! I'm telling you that he took the pitch high and inside for ball 3, and it was called strike 3 on Jabin Trotsky. And you heard me, and I apologize, but not too much. Travis Bazzana takes a strike and the count 0-1. I mean, I'm just simply writing down takes high and inside ball 3, and all of a sudden I see Steve Mattingly ringing Trotsky up.
The Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad, presented by Lazy Boy. What is your strategy for comfort?
If I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, we're all probably going to be out of here. So I like that kind of pressure, though.
Found happiness in what I'm doing right now.
The pitch, big chopper, right side. Bellinger comes in to score. Cubs win the ball game. The Cubs win it.
Even though it's still, whether justified or not, it is incorrect and boorish behavior. I'm sorry, but it was bad.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad starts now.
Well, I got to be honest, Godfather, surprising to see a Rick Carlisle coach team melt down like we saw last night in Boston. It was a total disaster. I mean, the Pacers on so many levels. The coaching was terrible. The execution by multiple players was terrible. They let a game slip away, and that game's probably going to cost them greatly in this series because how many times do you get a look like that on the road? Maybe you get a few more looks like that against Boston because they love dropping home games.
Because it is Boston, yeah.
But if you're the Pacers and you know you're up against it because you don't defend well at all, and you've got a chance to steal game one, knowing that you're a great home team in the postseason, you can't let it slip away. I mean, it's mind-blowing. So let's start with this. First off, how did they not call a timeout? And they allowed an inbound pass going towards the Celtics basket, which resulted in a turnover, which set up Jaylen Brown for the game-tying 3.
Yeah, I don't get that at all because 9 times out of 10, that's just an automatic that you call timeout to advance the ball to your end of the court. Because even if you screw that up, it's harder for them to score from your end than it is from their end of the court. It's crazy that they didn't do that. And you get better angles on the inbounds pass often when you move it up to front court. I don't know, Chad. That was a huge mistake that cost them. Just that one thing. All the other mistakes, that one thing cost them the game. You have to do it. Move it up, inbound the ball, get fouled, make 1 of 2 free throws, and you win the game.
Yeah. Call timeout, advance the ball, and then you're going to set yourself up to get to the foul line and put the game away. Yeah. It was done. The game was over.
Yeah.
The only way the Celtics would have a chance to win that game would be by making a huge mistake, and that's exactly what the Pacers did. I understand that they have guys on that team who maybe don't have the experience in those type of spots. They don't have the superstar power, but that's where Rick Carlisle's got to take over and say, look, I'm calling timeout. We're going to advance the ball. We've got to do it this way to be able to get the win. That was a disaster. And then on top of that, you had Tyrese Halliburton. Does a guy handle the basketball? I understand Drew Holiday is aggressive, but come on, man.
That was embarrassing for a player that I think everybody thinks Halliburton's a heck of a player. 2 times he turns the ball over late in the game. He dribbled it off his foot, and one time he didn't even do that. He just dribbled it out of bounds. What's going on here?
Well, you know how it works in the NBA. When you make a big mistake and you give another team a chance, this is what happens.
No timeouts. He's got to get it in. Throws to the corner. Jalen forces it up over. He tied it. He did it. Jaylen Brown from the corner with 5.6 to go. And the Pacers have given away game 1 for the moment. Now, can they steal it back?
All right. That was the first 3 that Brown hit in the game.
Yeah.
And throughout the playoffs, he's been 22% on corner threes. I don't have a problem with Brown getting that shot because, one, it's not a high percentage shot for him. He was well defended, and he still rose up and hit the shot. So
that's one where you just tip your cap to the guy.
The guy was draped on him. He rose up and hit the shot. I'll ask you this.
Before you go, Chad, though, we got to give Missoula, Montana some credit. And it hurts me to do that, to give him credit, but that was a great inbounds play. They ran Brown off 2 picks, and then the old school coaches will tell you the best pass you make is along the baseline. The reason being, if the other team happens to hit it or deflect it, they'll just knock it out of bounds. It'll still be your ball. If you try to pass out into the court and they hit it, who knows what happens. But that was a great play. It got him that shot.
You're right. And I want to say it was Halliburton who was defending the inbound pass.
It was, and he wasn't even looking in the right direction.
No, he was shading one direction because I think he was trying to keep an eye on Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
I think he expected Tatum to get the ball.
Right.
So he left that pass open to the corner, and credit to the Celtics for executing that play and getting it to Brown in a position to where he could raise up and hit the shot. It's impressive. And you're right. It's painful to give Missoula, Montana credit because I don't know if he ever deserves it, but that was a well-executed play. Again, the Pacers gave them the opportunity, but the Celtics had to rise up and capitalize in the moment, and then they did that. And then when they got to overtime, they just outplayed the Pacers down the stretch in the final 5 minutes.
Well, and Indiana had the ball for 5.5 seconds after that in a tie game. And
what shot was that?
Well, it was Halliburton again, dribbling around aimlessly.
Horrible.
He's not a one-on-one guy that's going to go get you a shot. Run a pick and roll or something. That's enough time to do a lot of things.
He looked like he was trying to leave the Garden. He got the ball, started to dribble.
The subway back to the hotel.
He got it out on the left wing, started to attack the middle of the basket, and then he wound up deep 3 right wing.
Yeah, that had no
What are you
chance.
doing? That was a horrible possession. Again, I expect more from Rick Carlisle and his guys in that spot. Everyone tells me that he's an offensive genius, and that's the best shot you can come up with.
Yeah.
That was poor execution. That was disappointing. I'll ask you the question again because I know this is a big one for you. Why not foul Jaylen Brown in that situation? Why don't more teams foul in that spot?
Well, one of the reasons is reluctance to trust your players not to foul the guy when he's in the act of shooting.
Yeah.
That could have been a problem on that one instance.
No question. And based on what I saw from the players for the Pacers last night, I wouldn't trust him to execute in that spot either.
Yeah.
They'll foul a guy when he goes up for the shot.
Yeah. Yeah. They would have messed it up.
But seriously, it's not just what we saw last night. No coach likes to foul in that situation on the 3.
Yeah, including Carlisle, who has not done it 2 other times.
So I guess it gets back to analytics. The analytics would say to always foul before the 3-point shot goes up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't they? If the analytics say it, why don't they do it?
Lack of trust in players, afraid of getting second-guessed somehow if the other team pulls off the miracle of making the first, missing the second, getting the rebound, putting it back in. That's what you have to do to beat that strategy, which is virtually impossible. The reason the analytics say do that is that they've tracked those plays over the years, and for the most part, the foul has always been the way to go.
Well, I guess what I'm wondering with analytics, do you just apply analytics no matter what? If it says you need to do this, you do it every single time, regardless of situation, because analytics also say that you go for 2 points after a touchdown on every single touchdown.
Right, right.
But no one does that.
Yeah.
But the analytics say you should do it every time.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they do it then?
Well, because coaches are afraid of being second-guessed. And since no one does it, no one does it. You know what I mean? If everybody started doing it, then everybody would do it. It's that way in coaching, too. And I think...
Because you don't want to be the coach that loses unlike anybody else.
Exactly. You can lose the same way everybody else loses.
But you can't lose in a different way.
That's fine. You know, it's true, Chad. You stumbled onto it right there. That's the exact reason.
Wow.
You just don't want to be that guy that takes a different path. That gets you fired.
Yes, especially if you don't have the cachet or multiple championships to be able to say, hey, yeah, I called the shot. That's what I thought was best, and I'll live with the result. Most guys won't do that because their owner will be like, is this guy a dum-dum? What are you doing out there?
Well, I like it in the case of a 3-point lead anyway. Because you know what, Chad? 5.5 seconds to go in the game. Even if you foul him in the just hug him. He can't get the shot off, so he goes to the line for 3 free throws. Okay, first of all, he's got to make 3 free throws. Second of all, even if he does make 3 free throws, you still have the ball back with 5.5 seconds to go. That's okay. That's okay. That's, I think it's not Armageddon. It's not that you lose the game. So I think fouling is just almost always the right way to go, unless it's a player who you're worried about being able to get the shot off, make the shot, and still get fouled. 4-point play beats you.
Well, let's check in with Rick Carlisle following that disaster last night.
This loss is totally on me. With 10 seconds in regulation,
I agree.
We should have just taken the timeout, advanced the ball, and found a way to get it in and made a free throw or two and ended the game.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen, and we made some other mistakes. But our guys just need to concentrate on fighting the way they fought in this game from start to finish, and we'll be back Thursday.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, you did. You screwed it up. Why didn't you call timeout? It's that simple. You had a timeout. Yeah. 10 seconds on the clock. Call it. It's just mind-blowing to me.
Even great coaches make mistakes. That's all I can say.
All right. One other thing. Speaking of great, or I hear that he's great all the time, here's what I think about the Celtics now. I don't think they're a great team. I think they're a really good team that lacks superstar power. I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are really, really good, but I don't think they're superstar quality. Jason Tatum last night, in the final 9 minutes of regulation, did not register a point or an assist. How does that happen? I mean, seriously, what's up with that? Where'd you go?
That's his pattern. He has not.
You can't
been a good
disappear
player.
like that if you're that guy.
Well, that's why I think they called the play for Jason
for Jaylen.
For Jaylen Brown at the end, because they lost trust in what Tatum was going to do. And look, I think it's also the perception that they're superstars. So when we get to the last 2 minutes, let's just clear it out and let them win the game for us. By and large, they can't do that. So you're much better playing the game as if they're not superstars, which means let everybody touch. They got a lot of guys who can make shots on that team. Let them touch the ball and see if you can get them an open shot. That's better than Jason Tatum taking a contested shot, which he tends to do.
All right, we'll come back. We're going to talk about Indiana's style of play. They don't have a superstar, but yet they were getting a lot of good shots last night. So we'll share some thoughts on that. We're also going to discuss the Celtics head coach, Missoula, Montana. We'll hear from him after the game. And more on Jason Tatum as well. And then we'll get to J.J. Redick. There are some things flying around right now. I mean, Godfather. The two biggest lies that I've heard this week are LeBron has nothing to do with the Lakers coaching search.
And
J.J. Redick has Pat Riley-type abilities. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, let's...
Someone's working really hard to try and convince everyone that J.J. Redick's the next Pat Riley. Can we just slow it down a little bit?
Slow our roll on that.
That's worse than saying that Ant might be the next MJ.
Yeah.
Pat Riley is one of the greatest basketball minds of all time. J.J. Redick might be a great coach, but he hasn't coached a game ever anywhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
you have to be really smart to be able to ascertain that. Now, from what you know of J.J. Redick, to be able to project him out to be Pat Riley, man, that's you're some kind of wizard if you can figure that out.
All right, we'll come back. That's Dwight. I'm Chad. Michael Shacker, the man, is here. You got the Rip City Drive. Well, so far, this is a great Wednesday. Dwight and I are snacking out like a couple of potheads here in the studio. You've got your peanuts from Pike Street Nuts,
Yes.
which is amazing. I just hooked you up with a Bear Bell from Trader Joe's, the Caramello, which is delicious. And I just shared with you some jalapeno ranch Snyder's pretzels, which are amazing. Luke, my workout partner, I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks because he's on vacation. We worked out today, and he gave me a bag of Snyder's pretzels. I was like, thank you, my friend. They're delicious.
They are really good. Yeah. Yeah, they are really good. That jalapeno ranch, I wasn't so sure until I took one bite.
Yeah, it's a party in your mouth without question. Also, Dwight gave me good news. I hate to take credit for it, but I'm responsible for a third set tiebreak winner for Nancy in her tennis match because she got the high five last night on the show.
She said the inspiration from the high five yesterday was enough to carry her through a third set tiebreak.
That's awesome.
In a big tennis match. So her shout out to Tricia, her partner, who's a good player. And
But I also like what you said, too, that she thinks playing golf, has helped her mentally in the game of tennis. And I was just talking with Luke about that this morning. The one thing I love about golf is that the more I play it, like learning to manage the difficulties on the course without overreaction.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hit a bad shot every single freaking round you play. How do you manage that? How do you respond? What's your adjustment after you have something that goes sideways on you? That's the game. And same thing in tennis. We see this all the time on high level in majors where you can have a bad set where you get annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
How do you respond to that? Do you bounce back? Do you let a bad set dictate the entire match? Well, you can't do that, especially when you're on the tennis court or on the golf course. Is one bad shot, you're going to have like 75 other swings of the club. You're going to let that one shot dictate everything?
Yeah.
No, you can't do it.
And you make a lot of unforced errors in tennis. You hit it into the net, and it's like, why? I have no chance if I hit it into the net. But I've always believed, too, Chad, that playing other sports is an advantage physically in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I also believe you could learn a toughness in football that carries you through in baseball and basketball, or vice versa even. Being at the foul line with 2 seconds to go, down by one, that makes you tougher for that third down play in football or making a big pitch in baseball. All these things correlate. And I think if you use it correctly and if you learn from what you do and you learn from your mistakes, man, it really helps. And I do believe what she said because you got to be tough on the golf course. You do. If you're in competition, you're playing somebody else, you're in the same foursome as them, man, you got to ignore what they're doing, work on what you're doing. You got to be tough. Boy, in tennis, you got to be tough, too.
You got to be tough. All right, coming up at 4, or is it 5? I can't remember. God is great. Beer is good and people are crazy. We're going to give away another pair of tickets for Billy Currington, who's going to be at the Clark County Fairgrounds on August 2nd. It includes fair admission, so we're going to take care of you. We'll do that at 5 o'clock today. Also, Keith Smith, who covers the NBA for the Front Office Show and Spotrac, he's going to join us coming up at 5:20. He covers the league, but he's real close to the Celtics because he's based out of Boston, so we'll get his take on the shenanigans that went down last night at TD Garden. The Pacers, they're different from the standpoint, Godfather, that they don't have, like, the big-time star. Like, the Celtics have got Brown and Tatum. Ant plays for Minnesota. So, like most of the teams, the Suns have Kevin Durant. They'll look for their stars, Jokic and the Nuggets. But with Indiana, they don't have, like, that one premium superstar who's a go-to guy. But yet, we saw their offense on display last night. What did you think about taking away the disaster at the end, just the overall function of the offense, the way Carlisle has them moving bodies and sharing the ball to get looks?
Chad, getting this far for that Indiana team is a real achievement, I think. And if you can just block out what happened last night, which,
horrible.
Yeah, terrible mistakes mentally. But to get this far, their secret, I believe, is not having a superstar. They don't defer to anyone. They don't give the ball to one guy and clear out and let him go one-on-one. They play team basketball, and Rick Carlisle is the exact guy you want for something like that. He is great offensively. They move the ball. They move bodies. They get good shots. And that's why they're still alive. That's why they've beaten teams that are better than them, I believe, because they're selfless and they don't look to one guy to rescue them all the time. They trust all their teammates. Whoever gets the shot, if it's open, take it, and I think it's really served them well, along with their running game, which a lot of teams with superstars don't run a lot because it takes away from the shots their superstars might get.
Why is it so hard to defend their style of play?
Well, because you have to key in on all 5 guys. It's not as easy. I used to get really upset in Portland when Brandon Roy was here because inevitably Nate McMillan, late in the game, play, just basically clear it out and let Brandon Roy go one-on-one. There are nights when that worked great, but in the playoffs, as you get further and further down the line, you just run people at him. You just double, triple them, make it hard for him to get rid of the ball. We've seen it with Dame. When they try to clear it out for him, it makes it very tough, even for a great player. Playing 1-on-2, 1-on-3, that's hard. But when you're playing 5-on-5 and every guy is a threat to score, they will attack your weakest defender, and they're in a position to do that. And that's what makes it effective.
Why don't more teams play that way? If it's so effective.
It's hard to get guys to do it. It's on many different levels, Chad. It's hard to get people to move without the ball. Really hard. They don't really always see the advantage of that because often you're setting a pick for somebody and you're not getting the ball. You're giving yourself up so that your buddy can get an open shot. And there's a lot of players now that are selfish.
They don't want to do that.
No, they don't want to do that. They want the shot.
Well, and you pointed this out a couple of weeks ago. That's a product of our crappy basketball system in the U.S. now through AAU because the best players have the ball in their hands and they grow up playing used to having the ball in their hands.
Amen. And those teams, those AAU teams, they don't have a lot of practice time. They get together and they play 4 or 5 games on the weekend. That's what they do. They don't practice. So they don't have a system, most likely. Their system is just give the ball to the best player and let him work out one-on-one and get an open shot and score. So our players aren't being taught to play the right way.
All right, my next question for you is I'm wondering, I used to think that Bryson DeChambeau was a douche canoe, but now I've done a 180 and I love the guy. And I was pulling for him to win the PGA, but unfortunately, Xander Schauffele got the birdie on 18 and got it done. Do you think that Missoula Montana, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, that he might be able to coach his way into where we do a 180 on him? Is it possible? Because we think he might be a dum-dum.
He's got a ways to go. Let's just say that, Chad. I think, I think X's and O's wise, he's okay. I don't think that's a real problem. And he's probably got a couple smart guys on the bench to draw up plays for him. But I think the problem is he looks to me like he's not tough enough. I don't think he's got a tight enough rein on his players. He looks on the sidelines to me like a guy who's babysitting, who's just throwing the ball out and letting his guys go play. And there has to be an element of that in the NBA. You give them offenses where they can read and react to what goes on. I get that. But you can't just let them go out and play playground basketball. And sometimes they look like that's what they're doing.
Well, let's check in with Missoula, Montana after the game last night.
Drew's the kind of guy, first of all, credit to him and D. White getting all defensive team, but he's the kind of guy that's going to impact the game different ways every night. Tonight it was his scoring, his playmaking, and his defense, a well-rounded game by him. And I thought he just his poise and his demeanor throughout the game was instrumental for us.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Drew Holiday was awesome last night.
Unbelievable.
How good is that guy?
Oh, man. Really good.
He was all over Tyrese Halliburton causing those turnovers.
Former Blazer great. Drew Holiday.
Yeah. I just like
for
him.
about 5 minutes.
I like his game. I like his tenaciousness, his defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
intelligence. Really smart player.
Here's more from Missoula on the Pacers.
There's always going to be, they're going to test your discipline every single possession, whether you're up 5 or whether you're up 25. And so I think at the end of the day, it's like we shouldn't even really look at the scoreboard. We should just keep playing as much as we can.
All right, so you like his X's and O's, but of course, having more command over the team. Do you think that's just a product of being a young coach he's probably nervous about his relationship with particularly Brown and Tatum to make sure you don't lose those guys, because if they bail on you, you're done.
Sad but true. Absolutely true, Chad. You can't lose those guys or you're dead. And I think, too, it was hard for him. Look, Ime got dismissed because of an indiscretion that I'm sure he regrets to this day. But here comes Missoula to replace Ime. He knows what a great job Ime did. Ime resurrected that team. I mean, he really did. And I just believe that he's probably a little insecure still about having that job. I think there are people who didn't think he should have had it in the first place. And I think he still thinks he has to prove himself.
Well, we think that Damon Stoudemire should get the job.
Yeah, we do,
Yeah.
actually. And he knows that this postseason, this is the acid test for him. They got to win. Anything less than a title in Boston this year is a no-go. They're not going to accept it.
So we got the Pacers, the Mavericks, and then we got the Timberwolves. Missoula is probably number 4 of the 4 coaches remaining in the postseason right now. I would take Kidd over Missoula.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, here's Tyrese Halliburton. Let's take a listen to him on those unfortunate turnovers.
I don't know. There was like 3 different occasions where I dribbled the ball off my foot today. I don't know what happened. Yeah, it's frustrating because that's not something that happens normally for me. But nobody forced it. I just dribbled the ball off my foot. So frustrating, to say the least. But I'll learn from it and I'll be better in game 2.
I like that response. He took accountability.
Yeah.
And look, normally doesn't happen, but you normally don't have a guy like Drew Holiday that's on you like white on rice. He's crazy. When you play Drew Holiday, he's going to force you into things that you don't normally do because he's that good defensively.
Yeah, he's a bit intimidating, especially when he gets up in your grill like that. That last one, he was all over him. That was pretty incredible.
Don't you think there are teammates like right now, like anyone who's played with Holiday, they probably all adore him because of his unselfishness and willing to sacrifice.
Well, not only that, he's beloved as a person. You know, he and his wife have done so much for charity.
She's great.
Oh, yeah. They're great citizens of whatever community he's living in. And I think the respect he gets around the league is incredible. But, yeah, he's an intimidating defender who just has lived on the All-NBA defensive teams for years now.
You know, Rick Carlisle, can you imagine? I respect Rick for saying the losses on him. Can you imagine Mike Malone ever coming out and saying something like this?
No. This loss is totally on me. With 10 seconds in regulation, we should have just taken the timeout, advanced the ball, and found a way to get it in and made a free throw or 2 and ended the game. But it didn't happen, and we made some other mistakes, but our guys just need to concentrate on fighting the way they fought in this game from start to finish, and we'll be back Thursday.
I mean, Mike Malone would never hold himself accountable like that. That's just not the way he rolls. A lot of coaches wouldn't do it, but Carlisle did the right thing. Yes, he had some players that did some dumb things, but had Carlisle called timeout and taken the decision out of his players' hands, they wouldn't have been in that spot.
Most likely. It's I think if anybody would have attempted to ask Michael Malone a question about doing something like that, he would have been shouted down. That's not what's important. What's important is we're going home now. Our season's over. He would say something like that.
All right, one other question real quick in regards to this series with Tatum. No points, not an assist in the final 9 minutes of regulation, which was ridiculous for a guy of that caliber. If you're Missoula, Montana, what do you say anything to Tatum? Like, what can you say to make sure that game or that struggles down the stretch doesn't snowball into more difficulties in the series?
Well, he's going to tell him to focus on what he did in overtime because he had a good overtime. He did. He made a couple shots in overtime. He did the right things, and he's just going to try and redirect.
Yeah.
Like, that's you. That was you in overtime. Just be you, that kind of thing. These guys are so intent on staying positive with players. There's very few guys who want to go out and rehash negatives, especially at this point in the playoffs.
Okay. I want to touch on J.J. Redick for a moment.
You mean the next Pat Riley?
Yeah. Look, if the Lakers want to hire Redick, I'm fine with that. But the way I read this whole push, this narrative that he's got Pat Riley-type qualities or he could be the next Pat Riley, I think it's totally insane to be saying things like that. Do you think this?
It supposedly came from an unnamed Laker official, right?
Yeah.
Came from the team.
Yeah, it came from the team. That sounds something like Magic Johnson would say something dumb like that or tweet something dumb like that.
Yeah.
But that feels like to me like they know they're going to get some pushback on hiring a guy that's never coached a game anywhere in his life.
Yep.
So they're putting out this false narrative about what he could be. Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, they're trying to soften the landing for the guy. When he gets the job, it's like, wait a minute. They just hired the next Pat Riley. Wow.
See, this is the problem with just not being straight. LeBron James has to push this idea that somehow he has no involvement in the Lakers coaching search. If you believe that, then you're a dum-dum.
And they're going to hire his podcast host.
Yeah. if LeBron would just come out, look, I don't have a problem with the Lakers hiring J.J. Redick. I don't have a problem with LeBron picking his head coach.
Right.
I have a problem with them trying to present the idea that he has no involvement.
Yeah.
If LeBron would just come out and be like, look, I'm LeBron James. I have played 20 years in the NBA. I've won 4 championships. I know what it takes to win. I believe that he's the right coach for this group of guys. And that's who I want to play for.
Yeah.
I would support that. And I would have no issue with that. But he won't do that because he's worried about controlling the narrative around him and his name because of the criticism he'll get. So he lies and puts out this idea that somebody has no involvement in the coaching search. Nobody believes that. But when you don't tell the truth, then you get this false narrative about LeBron, and then you get the Lakers having to come out and push the idea that J.J. Redick's the next Pat Riley. If LeBron would just come out and say, look, I'm not playing for just anybody. I want to play with this guy.
Yeah, all he has to say is, I've gotten to know J.J. Redick really closely. We talk basketball for hours when we do the podcast.
This guy's
I
good.
think he's going to be terrific.
If he said that, people would,
Absolutely.
okay, LeBron endorses him.
Yeah, yeah. And that would be the best thing. Rather than compare J.J. to Pat Riley, it would be better, I think, overall in the public if they just said, hey, LeBron, yeah, LeBron is what I always think about. LeBron wants this guy. He gives him the seal of approval. If LeBron says he's good, he's probably good. So, I think that's better for JJ anyway.
And people just can't be straight, man.
No. Well, there's some problems down there in Lakerland about that. I mean, come on. The whole idea since LeBron has gotten there that he hasn't named the coaches and that he has nothing to do with the personnel that's there. Yeah, okay, whatever. He's been the GM of every team he's been with, except for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that. Just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pick my coach. Other stars have picked coaches to play for.
Yeah.
Just don't come out and say, I have nothing to do with that. That's out of my hands. It's above my pay grade. Really? Because that's a total lie. Then just be genuine. Just come out and say, yeah, I'm picking my own coach. I'm not going to just play for some bum. Darv was not getting the job done. So I want J.J. Redick. He's smart. He's young. He's got the energy. And he'll be able to get the guys on the right track.
And I don't think LeBron would have wanted to play for Pat Riley, judging from what happened in Miami.
Most guys don't want to play for Pat Riley.
Yeah.
Even the guys that played for him and won with him didn't want to play for him because he was too tough. But now, after the fact, they respect it because they realize, what he did for their careers.
Couldn't have won without him, most likely.
Pat Riley's one of the toughest sons of guns in the biz.
Yeah.
Just ask Udonis Haslem when Riley would come in and jam his head into a bucket full of ice water and hold his head under there for about a minute and then lift out and say, if you want it, you got to really want it and go crazy. Like his halftime speeches or pregame speeches are legendary. He was a crazy man. And like you said, he won in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
I got Magic, Kareem, Worthy, and Scott. We'll go Showtime. I'm in New York, and I got bruisers like Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason. Will be tough. We'll go to Miami. We'll have Shaq and D. Wade. We'll feature those guys. He did it in every which way.
Yeah.
I respect it. Okay, we'll come back, and we got some new details. It's not official, but it looks like it's official, the NBA and where we're going to be watching their games in the future. Is it TNT?
Maybe.
Is it NBC? Is it ESPN? We'll get to that next. Well, I got to be honest. I wish it was 4 o'clock right now because we have new additions to the Mike Parker Greatest Hits. And today it features a fake apology to the umpire. There is no one more beautiful than Mike Parker, voice of the Beavs. He's the best, and I love Mike Parker the most when he's just letting it hang out and being his real self instead of trying to pretend that he's changed and more calm now.
And we're going to make the Mike Parker fans wait until 4 o'clock for that, right?
We have to wait. We have to wait. What's that song from NXS, Michael? The Devil Inside? That is like the theme song for Mike Parker because he can try to be good. He can try to turn over a new leaf, but the devil still lurks inside. Yeah. This is Mike Parker right here. He wants to change. He tries to turn over a new leaf, but in the end, we still get the same Mike Parker, the devil inside. And it's going to be like that for as long as he's behind the microphone. And that's the way we want him. We don't want to calm Mike Parker. We want him going crazy.
Terrible call! Overton front court to Thomas, and Isaiah bumped on the way up. Oh, and they're counting the basket. He's counting the basket. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? He ought to be teed up. Terrible call. Oh, my goodness. This is a waste of humanity's time. Then is he horse collared at the 8? Yes!
All right, so coming up at 4, we'll get to the devil inside with Mike Parker.
I'm so glad somebody is paying attention about wasting humanity's time. He's guarding humanity's time, and I appreciate that.
Shacker's got Mike Dar. So anytime Mike Parker freaks out, his brain automatically registers the time. He pulls the audio and knows that we will utilize it properly on the radio, and I appreciate Mike for that. Right away, he's like, oh, yeah, I just got this. He'll text me during a game because he works with Parker all the time. Hey, I heard this. You got to check this out. Parker freaked out. He's close to a meltdown. He'll let me know, like a tornado warning or an earthquake warning, if there's something that could be on the way. That's Shacker. He lets me know when Parker's about to melt down.
Yeah, I got texts from 2 or 3 people. I was listening to at the time, but I got a text. Did you hear it? Did you hear that?
All right. This coming from the Sports Business Journal, so it's very serious. Industry sources believe ESPN will ultimately pay $2.8 billion annually, though other industry sources insist it is still an earlier reported $2.6 billion. Well, there you go, Godfather. 2.8, 2.6. That's still a lot of change.
Yeah, either way, I'm happy.
ESPN, $2.6 billion for the league's A package, which includes the NBA Finals, a conference final, weekly primetime games, the WNBA, I'm sure they're excited about that, and likely shared international rights. NBC's proposed B package is believed to be worth between 2.5 and 2.6 billion annually, and would probably include a basketball night in America or Sunday night basketball following the NFL season, a total of 2 primetime windows a week, conference semifinals, and a conference final. Amazon's deal is believed to be worth between 1.8 and 2 billion. Good gracious. And would likely include the Emirates in-season tournament. Well, that's exciting. Yeah. The SoFi play-in tournament. That's exciting.
Ooh.
First-round playoff games, the WNBA, and international rights. Boy, I tell you what, Adam Silver's going to pull it off and get big-time coin, which I didn't think he would be able to do. And more importantly, every NBA owner is about to smile at the dough that's going to be rolling in. And the value of their franchise is skyrocketing.
Yeah, and those guys certainly needed the money. And supposedly that B package is still not settled on who's going to get it. What I read was that it looks like it belongs to NBC. They have the best offer out there, but apparently Warner Brothers, which is TNT, is going to have an opportunity to try to match it, but nobody thinks that they have the money to do it because that's a corporation that's not doing real well right now.
That means we have to say bye-bye to Inside the NBA, which is one of the finest sports programming options we've ever had. How are we going to survive?
It's the best one of its kind ever.
But if you're wondering why Jody has been patiently waiting, this is why. Because now whatever offer she got from the Phil Knight Group, when she does take offers in the future, it's going to be a substantial price.
Double, probably.
What are we talking about? $5 billion?
At least 4.5, probably. Yeah. I think that's going to be the going rate.
And Paul paid $80 million?
I think it was 87, something like that. Yeah.
Not a bad return on your investment there, huh?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I did not think that Adam Silver, I just don't trust Adam Silver. I trust him less than the Pacers defense, to be honest with you. I trust Missoula, Montana more than I do Adam Silver, but this is a big coup if he pulls this off.
Yeah, and I don't know how much he actually had to do with it. It's more or less that when networks are looking for programming to buy, sports is the only one that people aren't using the DVR on as much, so they'll still see the commercials.
That's why sports programming is so awesome.
Yeah.
Because people will watch it live. That's what I do. I think most people do. Michael Shacker doesn't. Sometimes you'll record a game, but most people, the vast majority, are like, it's in demand. I want to know now. I want to know if my team's winning. What's going on in the game?
Yeah.
And the hard part is, if you do DVR stuff, you can't get through the day without some knob or some update alerting you to the score. Because most people that DVR try to get through the day or go.
Yeah, they do.
I go blackout mode. I know you don't do that. You're odd from the standpoint that you actually like to know the score ahead of time,
right?
To know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, yeah. Or a lot of times I'll follow the digital play-by-play online, and then when I run the game back, I'll know which parts of it I can just ignore.
Well, my dad, his philosophy on the NBA is you can just ignore the first 3.5 quarters and just watch the final 5 minutes.
Father knows best. It's mostly true, really.
Mostly, yeah. I would agree. Yeah. There are some times where there's a different stretch. It could be in the second quarter, third quarter that really turns the outcome of the game. But a lot of these playoff games, like last night's Pacers-Celtics game, you could have turned in 5 minutes to go in the game and you would have seen everything you need to know about that game.
I think so, yeah.
The Celtics were down. The Pacers should have won, but they blew it because of a bunch of horrendous decision-making and bad plays. Unbelievable. I still can't believe they blew that game. Like, wait, what? What are you doing?
Yeah, took a lot of bad decisions.
How bad was that pass on the turnover, too?
Oh, God.
That was a bad pass, Godfather.
Yeah, it was.
That was really a bad pass.
I know.
I don't know how coaches do it. Like Rick Carlisle, he probably didn't sleep very well last night, did he?
No. But, if you're making that pass too, Chad, if you're any kind of NBA veteran player, you know that when you get to that point where you have to make a desperation pass, if you got a timeout in your pocket, just take it. Take your timeout right then and there. Don't make that pass. I mean, they were at least at the 3 count. You only get 5 seconds. At the 3 count, if you don't have the ball in, you better call the timeout.
That was a good look at getting a Game 1 win on the road. And then they could have put the pressure on the Celtics.
Well, somebody said it, I think, yesterday, but when you lose that game, it's like all of a sudden now we have to win 5 games in this best-of-7 series. Because we just won this game.
And we don't get credit for it.
And we don't get credit, but we still have to win 4 more. That's not easy to do.
All right, bad news for old guys with cataracts in the NFL, potentially. No offense to the old guys with cataracts. But the NFL might be embracing technology. The fact that they haven't embraced it in this aspect of their game is amazing to me. So we'll get to that coming up next. And then once we deal with that, we're going to get into the greatest hits of Mike Parker with his latest edition that might be a top 10 hit.
Oh, yeah.
With a fake apology. His apology was about as real as those fake hugs in the Olympics with the gymnastics, with the girls that give the fake hugs.
Yeah.
When they fail and they have to go hug somebody else because they did well and got a great score, it's not real.
Yeah.
We love Mike Parker. I love the guy. He's a beautiful man. Mike Parker, if you're listening right now, you are beautiful, and we're going to give many examples of why coming up next. All right, Godfather, we'll get to Mike Parker's greatest hits here in just a moment. But the NFL is once again looking into technology to assist them with the game.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good thing. What are they looking to get technology involved in now? What aspect?
Well, I guess they're tired of two old guys with sticks and chains running out onto the field to measure first downs. They're going to finally investigate optical tracking for line to gain rulings. They're going to do it in preseason this season, and if it works well, carry it right into the season, apparently.
I like this idea.
Oh, yeah.
The two things I do not understand in football, two elements. There's a lot of things that I have issues with in regards to the officials, but old guys with sticks and an old chain to run out and measure first downs.
Crazy.
It's 2024 for crying out loud. Can we not have a better system? And then why you put two dudes in their 90s with cataracts underneath the uprights to look up and see if a little football went between the uprights? Like, you don't have some type of laser technology to know if it's a good field goal or not?
Yeah, put a laser on top of each upright, and you got it, right?
It's just amazing to me. Like, I am now 48 years old, and my vision is, for the first time in my life, starting to fade in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I don't want to be under a pair of uprights looking up to see if a ball went through. There's got to be better technology. So those two areas bother me. And I wish there was a way that you could help the official. And that ridiculous, they use their foot. They run out and put their foot down on where they need to spot the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, there should be a chip in the nose of the football.
I would think that might be nice.
Yeah. I don't think it would even be that difficult to do.
I mean, we're talking about a league that they print money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fort Knox has got nothing on the NFL, and yet they're still using some of these archaic measurement systems.
The NFL should be funding our trips to Mars, for crying out loud. They'd have more money and imagination than the government has.
It's incredible. You're right. So, yeah, I'm all about this, man. Get more technology involved to make it better and to get these calls correct. And we're talking about, fourth down measurements at the end of games that determine the outcome, and people are betting millions of dollars on these games now. You might want to make sure that you have the right system in place to get the job done right. I just want the call to be right. That's all.
That's one positive outcome now that I think about it of betting on games.
More pressure for these leagues to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to try and get calls right, and they're going to actually use real technology to do it.
And can't they call up like Elon or something? Get Elon out there. He's pretty smart. There's got to be people. Get Vegas involved. Get Elon. Help them. Allow them to help you come up with the right system.
It's my understanding that system's been around for years. I mean, look, you're watching the game on TV, and there's that red line out there all the time. There's no reason that same technology couldn't be used by the officials.
I love the first down line. When it first debuted, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable.
I don't have to worry about trying to pick out the flag, that little bitty flag on the sideline to know whether or not I made the first down.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I love that, man. A laser line on your TV to know where the first down marker's at.
Yeah, and then we need robots calling balls and strikes along with it.
Oh, those guys.
Right?
It's been an all-time bad year.
Oh, gosh. If you read those umpire tracking things on X, holy cow. Gosh, these guys, it's like they want the robots coming in. They're missing so many pitches that people are begging now to get electronic strike zones.
Based on the way they're calling balls and strikes, I think they all want to get fired. You guys suck. What are you guys doing?
Well, I think Chad, they're probably missing a few calls in college baseball games too, aren't they?
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. All right.
If I were broadcasting a game, I'd be upset about that.
It's unbelievable. The officials, and you're not one to whine about the officiating all the time, but this year I've noticed since baseball season began, every day you come in, you're like, gosh, what were they doing? I can't believe how many balls and strikes they missed last night. And it's egregious because we have the nice little box on our TV. You got one like 2 feet out of the zone. The guy's like, strike. It's like, what? Or one that's right down the pipe, ball. It's unbelievable to me. I can see why these guys, and yet somehow you're not allowed to argue balls and strikes.
Yeah.
But they suck at it, but you can't argue about it. Just like with the coaches after games, they can't criticize officiating.
Right.
Even if they have a horrible game that determines the outcome, we can't criticize them. Well, why not? They suck.
Yeah. Can't even interview them. most of the time.
I wish they had that rule in radio where people couldn't criticize me. Because I suck every day and people like to let me know about it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, we can't criticize Chad. He's untouchable. That's the way the NBA officials are. All right. Mike Parker, voice of the Beavs, is a beautiful man, a beautiful human being, and I would say that he wears his heart on his sleeves during the broadcast. Is that an accurate assessment, Godfather?
Oh, yeah. He wears it on both sleeves.
All right, let's take a trip down memory lane because we have a new addition for Mike Parker getting bitter. And we were just talking about balls and strikes.
Yes.
I don't think Mike Parker appreciates bad umps behind the plate. He doesn't appreciate it.
Not at all.
He is all about accuracy. So let's see here. Yeah, this is Mike Parker punching Jim Wilson in the head during the course of a OSU-ASU football game. It's a great one.
And then is he horse-collared at the 8? Yes!
Here's Mike Parker at a basketball game pulling off the headset to yell at the official and then calmly puts it back on to continue his call.
Overton front court to Thomas, and Isaiah bumped on the way up. Oh, and they're counting the basket. He's counting the basket.
There goes the headset. Here it comes.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding?
Well, we got to put the headset back on.
Isaiah Thomas to the line with an NBA continuation call. They count the basket to put the Huskies up 66-58.
That's incredible. He melted down and then put the headset back on and acted like it didn't even happen.
Right.
Like him yelling at the official for about 20 seconds, like that didn't even happen. It's like he blacked out, put the headset back on, and kept calling the game.
He wasn't sure that you could tell that was him yelling. I think that's it.
Here is Mike Parker getting upset with humanity.
Oh, my goodness. This is a waste of humanity's time.
Yeah.
That ball's foul, Jim.
By 10 feet.
Yeah, I mean, that ball, what?
By 10.
Are they asking for, are Cincinnati asking for that to be looked at? Is that the deal?
Here's Mike Parker saying teed up.
And he ought to be teed up!
Here's Mike Parker yelling, terrible call!
Terrible call!
Let's see here. Here's Mike Parker not really answering a question asked by Travis.
Travis, it's a good question. It's an important question. And I believe we're moving towards an answer, closure to that question and that issue.
Huh? Here's a contribution from Michael Shacker, one of his favorites.
Well, it's from earlier this year, basketball season. You hear a back and forth between Mike Parker and a ref. If you listen closely.
Corin Johnson to the free throw line, makes the first free throw. Yeah, why is he shooting? Why is he shooting? I had him going up when he wasn't.
Wow. Wow. I don't think I'd heard that one, Mike. That was just this year.
Yeah, we played it after it happened. It's a real long one, but I just isolated the part where he had a back and forth with the ref.
Here's Mike Parker saying very good after cracking open a can of kombucha or something.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
All right, here's today's submission. This is Oregon State. Who are they playing here, Shacker?
They're playing Stanford. It's the Pac-12 baseball tournament. It's their first game of the tournament. And it was a tough one today. And
it was not good.
Not good. They have it's a round robin, so they play again tomorrow. But now we have to root for Arizona to go 2-0 or 0-2 for them to advance. And assuming Oregon State wins tomorrow. When they play
20 and 21 of the two games at Stanford in the playoffs in '82. Trotsky takes high and in. Oh my goodness! No! No! That's terrible! That is terrible! That is terrible! I'm telling you that he took the pitch high and inside for ball 3, and it was called strike 3 on Jabin Trotsky. And you heard me, and I apologize, but not too much. Travis Bazzana takes a strike, and the count 0-1. I mean, I'm just simply writing down, takes high and inside, ball 3, and all of a sudden I see Steve Mattingly ringing Trotsky up.
Oh, I apologize, but not that much.
Well, he followed it up with another tiny apology later in the inning.
Yeah, this one's really good. Take a listen to this fake apology. This is the what you're going to see at the Olympics this summer. with the gymnasts giving each other fake hugs. Here's Mike Parker.
It's maybe the second time this year I've gotten that upset.
I love how he downplays it, too. Like, oh, this is only about the second time that I've really melted down this year.
It's maybe the second time this year I've gotten that upset, but for those of you who may have seen it, even though it's still, whether justified or not, it is incorrect and boorish behavior. I'm sorry, but it was bad.
Boorish behavior. Parker, I've got to disagree, buddy. It was not boorish. It was incredible. And please, look, Parker, you didn't turn over a new leaf, all right? The devil is still inside. You just got to let it out, all right? You haven't come this far to try and be somebody you're not. You've got to get mad at officials. You've got to continue your communication with officials and melt down and punch Jim Wilson more. We love this. It's the best. What is better than Mike Parker going berserko?
Terrible call! Then is he horse-collared at the 8? Yes! Overton front court to Thomas, and Isaiah bumped on the way up. Oh, and they're counting the basket. He's counting the basket. Are you kidding me? Oh, my goodness. This is a waste of humanity's time. This year I've gotten that upset, but for those of you who may have seen it, even though it's still, whether justified or not, it is incorrect and boorish behavior. I'm sorry, but it was bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it was really bad. It's so good. I love this little sequence here, too, especially the final. Terrible! He drug it out.
That's terrible! That is terrible! That is terrible!
Wow.
Why is he I had him going up when he wasn't! No! No!
Yeah, I was listening in the car on the radio, KEX, by the way.
Yeah.
And when I heard him, no!
No! No!
It scared me. I thought somebody got hurt. I thought that the hitter got beamed or I mean, somebody collapsed or something like that. I mean, that was the gravity of him doing that out of the clear blue sky. I mean, there was nothing at all except no.
No! No! Terrible call! Then is he horse-collared at the 8? Yes! And he ought to be teed up! Travis, it's a good question. It's an important question. And I believe we're moving towards an answer, closure to that question and that issue.
Very good.
No! No!
There you go. That's Mike Parker. Greatest hits continue.
I love Mike.
He's a beautiful
great
man.
He is. Wouldn't hurt a flea.
What about him yelling at the official, too? Play that again. Give me that part where he's yelling at the official, Shaka. That's incredible.
Why is he shooting? I had him going up when he wasn't.
I had him going up.
He wasn't. No.
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 I hate that, man. That sounds like me.
Gosh.
When you hit the weak fade and you're like, no.
No.
No. And you're watching your ball
No.
just go right into the drink. Oh, I love you, Mike. Never change. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, Michael Shacker just sent me an update on Cameron Brink. Never do that again, Shacker. Not mid-show, my friend.
You lost focus there for a minute, Chad.
Good gracious, man. Shacker, what are you trying to do to me? I know what you're trying to do to me. You're trying to get me off.
Informed.
Yeah. I'm informed. Trust me. Good.
It was a news article that I sent you.
Yeah. Very good news. Oh, my goodness. All right. Rip City Drive. We're going to talk with Keith Smith, NBA, who's going to join the show coming up at 5:20. Dwight and I are still snacking out like potheads here in the studio, which is very nice. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620 and our YouTube channel. You can join the live link. We don't look like Cameron Brink, but we're here in studio. You can check out the show. Just go to youtube.com and pull up the homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you'll find the links to our live shows right there. All right, Godfather. We got to talk about Minnesota and Dallas. The Western Conference Finals will kick off tonight. Let's start with this. You think the key matchup really is going to be Minnesota's defense, which has been outstanding coming off the Denver series, and they crushed the Suns. But it really comes down to one simple question. How do they deal with Luka and Kyrie Irving? So I'll ask you that because those two guys are playing really good basketball, but how would you try and deal with them?
Yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult for them because these are two guys that are impossible to guard for the most part. But they have to, I think, stop one of the two guys, Chad. They can't let both of them be superstars. They're going to have to hold one of them down. And actually, in the playoffs so far, Kyrie has been much more consistent than Luka has. Luka's been dealing with all sorts of injuries, apparently, and he's kind of been up and down where he either makes a lot of shots or he misses a lot of shots.
It's like boom or bust for Luka right now.
Yeah, good way of putting it. Yeah, it certainly has. And I think if those guys don't score, it's like here's the deal. In my mind, Dallas has the two best players in that series. Those two guys are Hall of Fame basketball players. Now, Minnesota has the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh best players.
Yeah.
And you can make a case, Edwards could make a case to be in the top two, but not yet.
But I would still put Kyrie and Luka ahead of him right now.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve to be up there with those guys yet.
Yeah.
But so they've got to figure out a way to make their five guys in Minnesota stop two guys. And, yeah, I agree. Dallas has some guys who can hurt you. And they've been getting great performances from P.J. Washington. They're two big guys. And Derrick Jones Jr. has been terrific for them. But I would say it's going to be interesting, too, to see how much the two big guys, especially Lively, who's a rookie, how they do against the experienced big guys over on the Minnesota side.
All right, let me ask you this with Luka. What's the best way to play him? Do you double him? Do you take the chance of doubling him because he's such a great passer?
Yeah, he's hard to
much
double.
like Jokic. If you double him, he's going to find the open man.
Yeah, I would be careful about that. And they're not Minnesota hasn't been a team that's needed to double a lot. What they will do is if you get penetration, which is hard to do against them, but if you get it, they got that shot blocker coming at you from the backside. So, Rudy's going to be there if you need him at the rim. But for the most part, you play all five of them straight up, I think.
All right. With Minnesota, we know them for their defense because they've been so great throughout the regular season and, of course, in the postseason. They've got the three bigs. You've got Karl Anthony Towns, they've got Rudy Gobert, and then they've got Naz Reid, who sixth man of the year. He was terrific, and he was sensational in the Denver series. But Dallas, and you just mentioned the two guys, Gafford and Lively. Like, the rim protection in this series from both sides is elite.
Yes.
What do you think about the way those two guys have played and kind of meshed in Dallas?
Oh, gee, way beyond what people thought. Lively is a guy a lot of people could have taken or been interested in trading up for. I don't think anybody expected him to be this good. He's really good around the rim. He's a good rim protector. And Gafford came at the trade deadline with Washington, I believe, same time, and those guys have made a world of difference in their defense. And that's really what they needed. They made a trade for defense, and it worked.
I got to give Dallas credit. They made a series of big swings. One, Jason Kidd, they took a chance on him.
Yeah.
They've cashed in so far. He's been terrific. That surprises me. They made a big swing at the trade deadline that's paid off, like you just mentioned. And then they rolled the dice on Kyrie Irving, a move that no one understood or thought would work and thought it was crazy. They were insane for doing it. And not only has he worked out, but Jason Kidd's gotten those two guys to play well together. And they've gotten buy-in from the team to play defense. The reason why Dallas is where they're at right now is, well, obviously Luka doing Luka-type things, but their defense after the All-Star break, they cranked it up.
Yeah.
That's impressive, too, for that team.
It is. Yeah. And I think we give Jason Kidd a lot of credit for that. And it's surprising. It's surprising to me that he's turned out to be this good with them as a coach. I'm also remiss in not giving credit in the front office to their general manager, Nico Harrison, who's a local guy, played high school basketball at Tigard, I believe, if my memory serves correct, worked at Nike for years, used to see him at Moda Center all the time, helping out Nike basketball players with whatever they needed from Nike. But Nico swung those trade deadline deals, and they proved to be just what the team needed. And congrats to him. He's done a great job with that team, and that was a bit of a gamble to hire him, basically a shoe executive rather than a guy with a lot of NBA experience. Didn't play in the NBA, anything like that. He's been a good GM for them.
Hey, Godfather, I've had a number of Trailblazer fans who have reached out to me over the last couple of weeks with Dallas making some noise in the postseason.
Yeah.
Derek Jones Jr. is playing really well for them.
Yeah.
He's been a spark plug. He's been a rebounder. He's been able to make some plays in transition.
He can guard, too.
He can defend.
Yeah.
So I guess the big question is, why is he thriving there and yet was a total dud in Trailblazer land? What's your take on that?
Well, I think, first of all, Chad, the key to coaching is putting players in a position where they can do what they do best. I think Dallas has done a nice job of that. They use him on lobs, and they let him shoot threes. He's not a bad three-point shooter. He's not a great one or a good one, but he can spread the court a little bit, and he keeps defenders honest. And you have to protect him against the lob, so he's going to be open. Now, the Blazers, very often, as they did with a lot of their forwards over the years, stuck him in a corner and let him, do nothing but really shoot threes. And I don't think that was the best use of him. I liked him in Portland because he played hard, he guarded people, and, man, he had great ups. That guy can really jump. And one other guy that, if they hadn't been in the situation they've been in, Chad, that'd be a guy you'd like to hold on to. But right now in this process, they can't hold on to too many of those guys, right?
No.
I mean, it's just not room to do that.
And Derek Jones Jr. is not in a great situation if you're putting him out at the three-point line and him being a spot-up shooter.
Right.
That's not his strength.
Yeah, he can get by as a three-point shooter, but he can't help you a lot doing that,
I agree. If you go to CarrieAgers.com, the Dean of Portland Sports, he's got a feature out on Elston Turner, former Trailblazer. I grew up with him in Denver as a Nugget. Longtime assistant, great defensive mind, who is the mastermind behind what the Timberwolves are doing right now.
Yeah.
What did you learn anything new about Elston and Carrie's piece?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just the long journey that Elston has been on, and so many teams that he's interviewed for a head coaching job that he's never gotten. And sometimes I feel bad for him because he didn't have a big name as a player, so people didn't know about him. And he's a very quiet guy who doesn't sing his own praises. It's just unfortunate he never got a head coaching job, but he
needs to get a podcast with LeBron and he'd have a head coaching job.
That would be the key, yeah. But he's a wizard defensively. They had great defenses in Sacramento. They had great defense in Houston, and now he's working his magic there. They're really good defensively.
He's like one of those guys like Jeff Bzdelik. Some defensive guys, Ron Adams, wherever they go, Dick Harder.
Yeah.
The defense always improves.
Yeah, it's funny coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, you get the right coach with a system that can hold guys accountable and show them what to do. I love watching Minnesota play defense because the communication level on that end of the floor when they're out there executing, it's sensational.
Yeah.
Because defending Denver is not easy. Slowing down Jokic is not easy.
Yeah.
But yet they've been able to do it. So I'm just a big fan of Elston Turner. I always have been. And you're right, he's not going to go out there and toot his own horn. There are a lot of guys that do that, but he's not going to do that.
No, he's just not the type. And it's funny, Chad, I think about them too. I don't think they got enough credit for beating Denver. I think more people were pointing at Denver and say, how did those guys lose to Minneapolis? They should have won. They had home court. They had a 20-point lead, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Minnesota beat them. They beat them in the fourth quarter when it mattered most. They held them to what, 37 points in the second half? That's pretty good defense.
Well, I think we learned. Yeah, Minnesota's just a better team.
Yeah.
They won 3 times in that building to win the series.
Yeah.
They were down 20 in the third quarter and came back to win Game 7. They went on a 30-point run in that second half of Game 7. They're better. It's hard to say it, but they are.
Yeah.
And mostly because they just have, from the top down to the bottom, they just have better depth, better players.
Yeah.
I mean, Denver's got the best star on the floor, but in terms of depth, they just couldn't compete with that.
Yeah, and we're learning in these playoffs more than ever how much depth matters.
There's no question about it. It's remarkable. I want to play this for you. It kind of ties into the Rick Carlisle complaints or the whining about being a small market team.
Yeah.
Tim Legler, who you've become a big fan of for his work as an analyst, right?
Yeah, he's very smart.
He's great on games. He's really good when Scott Van Pelt has him on his Sports Center.
I just learned he has an MBA from Wharton Business School. I mean, get out of here.
Well, I've never heard of Wharton. That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, that's a big time. That's
Is that big time? Is it better than the Chicago School of Business?
They're 1 and 2 every year. Those are the 2 best.
So what you're saying is Legler's not a dum-dum?
Yeah, he couldn't even get in that school. I mean, you got to be really smart just to get in there.
I do remember Legler as a player. He's a good three-point shooter.
Yeah.
He could stroke it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, big-time shooter.
Well, this is interesting because he basically, he kind of takes you behind the scenes at ESPN. He wanted to talk about Indiana.
Has all season long, has wanted to.
But they don't really want him to talk about Indiana.
Yeah.
Maybe Rick Carlisle's whining was for good reason. Take a listen.
And I wish I had video of all the meetings I've been in this year at ESPN when I wanted to talk more about the Indiana Pacers, particularly after they got Siakam. And it's just not sexy enough, It's like, we kind of didn't talk about it. And I'm going, man, I watch this team every night and I'm going, gosh, that's fun. Number one, fun style to play in. I envy these guys for being able to play in a system like this, but just how hard it is to guard, how hard it is to prepare when they have this many guys that can make shots and they don't waste one dribble. There's not one wasted dribble on the part of the Indiana Pacers over half court.
There you go. Not sexy. Yeah. And I get it because you and I put together a talk show every day. Yes. How many things do we want to talk about that we don't talk about because we don't deem it to be sexy enough for the majority of people who are listening?
Yeah, as you say, sexy enough, but it's basically the interest level.
Yeah.
I mean, basically a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to name names here, but a lot of stuff, who cares? Who cares? I might care, but not
I'll give you an
enough
example.
People out there do.
I like watching Oklahoma softball.
I kind of do too, actually.
I'm not going to talk about it on the radio show because no one gives a rip.
We're the only two probably that watch it.
Yes. And while Indiana's a very good story, and they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they've got a chance to get to the NBA Finals, and they don't have a superstar, but they play as a team, that's great. Yeah. No one cares about the Indiana Pacers.
Well, it's just like the Utah Jazz and the Portland Trail Blazers and the New Orleans Pelicans, all the other mid-market or small-market teams, they on a national level, those networks just don't see the point. They don't see the dollar signs in doing that because the numbers aren't there.
So I guess what I'm trying to say to you listeners out there, whether it be of our show or if you watch any other, sports program or news program, there's no agenda. Like Dwight and I and most of the people that put together shows, there's no agenda at play. All we're trying to do every day is to try, and Dwight and I have had many arguments and frustrating moments.
Yeah.
It's all about trying to pick and choose what we think is going to be the best, right?
Yeah, and appeal to the largest amount of people. What do they want us to talk about?
Exactly. And apparently, based on comments, they want us to talk about food and nonsense. More than anything.
More than anything. Snacks are always good. Yeah.
Yes. So that's why ESPN or Take Your Network, the reason why they talk about certain players and teams more than the Indiana Pacers is because they're trying to appeal to the masses.
Yeah. And I say that, educationally. Blazer fans, don't get upset when they don't talk about you. All you got to do to get them to talk about you is win. If you win enough, they're going to have to talk about you. Now, you still probably won't get a fair shake. It's like Indiana beating the Knicks. Everybody talked about the Knicks losing rather than Indiana winning. Yeah. But you're there, and that's the only thing that matters anyway. It doesn't matter if they talk about you.
Yeah, it's why the league would prefer to have New York and Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals
Amen.
because they know that series is going to appeal to more people in numbers than the Pacers and Celtics do.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, Michael Jordan was the golden goose. Then LeBron, golden goose. They love those superstar guys that bring eyeballs to the TV sets.
MJ's a perfect example. How many people would tune in to watch MJ who weren't even Bulls fans?
Yeah.
Even Knicks fans who hated the Bulls would still watch MJ because he was amazing. That's all. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
I hated the Raiders, and I still do. I despise him. But Bo Jackson was so awesome that I would watch him play because I wanted to see what he was going to do. So that's what's going on there. But I found that interesting that Legler, as a basketball guy, he appreciates Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see why. I mean, you could see where a guy who was a shooter like him.
He wants to play for Carlo. What he's saying there is, I wish I was young enough to play again so I could play for that offense.
It would have been perfect for him.
Yeah.
Coming off picks, wide open, getting the ball, catch and shoot. Perfect. Yeah.
All right, there you go. So that's the deal. By the way, how do you see the Minnesota-Dallas series playing out?
I think it's a real tough one, Chad, but I still think I got to ride with Minnesota. I've kind of believed in them from the start, and I just think their defense is going to tip the scales somehow, some way.
I like Minnesota, too. I think they're going to win
you?
a championship.
I thought you'd like Dallas. I was surprised at that.
I like Dallas, but I like Minnesota. I think they're going to win the title. I've seen enough from Boston to know that I can't take them seriously.
Oh, yeah.
I just think Minnesota, with their defense and the confidence that they have, I mean, they took out the defending champ without home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
They got through their hardest test already. If they just continue to go out and avoid injury and execute the way they're playing right now, they're going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I respect Jason Kidd and the way Dallas is playing. I love the fact I really respect Kyrie Irving. He did the impossible. He went to Dallas. He's kept his mouth shut, has not made any headlines, and he's worked hard. And he and Luka now play well together.
Yeah, really well.
No one thought that was possible.
No, I certainly
It's pretty
didn't.
amazing.
I thought they messed the team up when they made that move. I couldn't believe they did it.
Kyrie has changed the way that everyone views him now.
Yeah, he has.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Good for him. I applaud that,
And he defers when necessary. I love that. I love seeing stars who buy into whatever concept they're in order to help the team.
And it shows he really does deep down want to win.
Yes.
And there have been questions about that in the past.
Yeah. So I just respect any player that's willing to do that because when a player, just like in Game 7 with Denver and Minnesota with Anthony Edwards, when the guy was putting up bricks, he was ice cold. So what did he do? I'm going to defensively lock in on Jamal Murray, and then I'm going to look to be a playmaker. He had 7 assists in that game. He was setting up his teammates because he knew that he didn't have it going.
Yeah.
I respect that. That's the way it should be. And you've talked about MJ a lot. Developing the ability to dish off to Steve Kerr, Jim Paxson, that's growth because he was willing to do whatever it took to win.
Yeah, he took 4 or 5 points a game off his scoring average to get other guys involved. Phil Jackson did that. He got through to him and said, look, that's not the way, we're not going to win a title that way.
I guess for me, anytime I get a feel that an athlete prioritizes something above winning, it just
Adios.
Adioso.
Goodbye.
It bothers me.
Yeah.
But respect to Kyrie. It's impressive what they've done. And Jason Kidd, too, I thought he might be a joke of a coach, and he's turned out that, hey, he's gotten the guys to buy in and defend, and Dallas made some big swings, so they look good. I like both those stories. Minnesota's story is great. And they were just like Dallas, right? They made the move to get Gobert. People thought they were dum-dums.
Yeah.
They got fleeced by Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
Well, they were patient, and look at what they got now.
Yeah.
A versatile team with incredible length. You can't get space against those dudes.
No, it took a whole year to make that work, and they were just patient. And I'm sure Chris Finch said, guys, just give me a little bit more. We need a little more time, but it's cooking now.
Because you know as well as I do, and in today's world, it's all about immediate gratification. They want to see changes right away, but sometimes it takes a while to develop something. Yeah. Even Denver did the same thing. They were patient without making the moves or firing their coach, and they got over the hump last year and won a championship. You got to be patient sometimes.
Yes, you do.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. Keith Smith is going to join us coming up at 5:20 to talk NBA, and we always enjoy his insight. When we come back, we're going to focus in on NBA analysts. A lot of frustration going around with Doris Burke and J.J. Redick. How much do you care about who the analysts are. Do you pay attention to them? Are you more of a play-by-play guy? We'll discuss that coming up next. You know, Godfather, a lot of people are wondering why ESPN would pay billions to get the rights to the NBA games and then have analysts like J.J. Redick or Doris Burke. Not the big names, but
yeah,
I got to be honest with you. Like, Doris Burke doesn't bother me. I'm more concerned about Stan Van Gundy on the TNT broadcast.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm not going to turn away from a game because they have analysts that I don't care for. If the game's good, I'm going to watch regardless. But how often do you really focus in on the analysts or the play-by-play guy or any of that kind of stuff?
I focus on the play-by-play guy. I do. That's the guy that I'm listening to. I have to admit this. I know it sounds strange. I don't even hear the analysts. I listen for that voice of the PA of the play-by-play guy, and after that, I hear nothing. I don't hear it. I tune them completely out. Because I've learned most of them don't help me. Leckler's the only one this year that's ever provided me anything creative, analytical, predictive, all the things that you might want. I mean, look, my favorite radio analyst of all time, Hank Stram, Monday Night Football with Jack Buck, because he used to always predict what play was going to run and why, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It was something no one else was doing. It was like, look, Jack, they're all loaded up on the right side. He's going to hand the ball off to this guy. He's going to go right around the right side, and he's going to, he knew exactly what was going to happen because he knew football so well. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing any insight. They just repeat to you what you just saw. I don't need that.
Are there any analysts that you do enjoy in today's game?
Yeah, in today's game. I can't really think of one offhand. Do you? Who do you like? Who?
I like Reggie Miller on the call. I know a lot of people, most people, at least from what I see, don't. I know my man Peter Vesey can't stand him.
Yeah.
I do not like Stan Van Gundy. I don't mind Doris Burke. I don't mind J.J. Redick. I liked the other Van Gundy and Mark Jackson together. I thought that was good.
Those guys were pretty good. Yeah.
I just care about the play-by-play guy. So Kevin Harlan, I love. Ian Eagle is epic.
Mm-hmm. You're not a Mike Breen guy, though, right?
I think Mike Breen is fine. I just don't think he's the end-all, be-all like most people do. I think Breen is really good, and he's a terrific human being. Like, I really like him. But, I grew up on Marv Albert and Dick Stockton, who I loved, and so I thought Bob Costas on the NBA calling games was terrible. Didn't like him. Love him on baseball, but not basketball.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't. Who are some other guys, too? I thought Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas were terrible.
Oh, yeah, they were awful. I thought one thing I liked about Breen in the Knicks series is he showed no favoritism to the Knicks, unlike every other ESPN personality during that series. He did a great job of just being a neutral national broadcaster. I respect that a lot because it's hard for those guys to do that.
Yeah, and he's a Knick fan, but he does a good job of, playing it down the middle. But that's what I would expect from him is, a pro's pro to be able to do that, and he does that. So I don't know. I just don't get too caught up in that. I think I like Doris Burke, and no one I know thinks Doris Burke sounds good or does a good job. But again, to me, it's all about the game, right? If the game's good, now there are play-by-play guys like Kevin Harlan is unbelievable. He's just awesome. Do you like him?
I love him. Every sport. He's good at every sport.
He's great on football, basketball. Yeah, I'm totally down with him.
Yeah.
The other one I heard this year, I wish that someone, before she took the job at Adidas, maybe someone should have given Candace Parker a chance to be
I agree.
Doing more analyst work because I thought she did a good job. I like Hubie Brown. You don't like Hubie Brown.
Oh, no. Never have.
He drives
I
you
don't
crazy?
think he brings anything. He says the same thing every game. They just wind him up. He sits down in front of the mic and he says the same thing every game at approximately the same time.
I mean, my favorites were like Pete Van Wieren and Rick Barry.
Yeah.
The guys I grew up with.
Yeah.
Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn or Dick Stockton and Billy Cunningham. I mean, those are guys I grew up with. But my favorite team of all time on a national broadcast was Marv Albert and Mike Fratello. Those guys were great. The Czar with Marv. Phenomenal. I think I want to say that Fratello's doing now like Clipper games or something like that. I think he's.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, I think he's
that's
doing
right.
Clipper Television. But I thought Marv and Mike Fratello were great.
Well, I thought Ralph Lawler doing Clipper games was really good.
I like him too.
League pass, you can. And he's retired now, but he was really good. Just like the legendary Al McCoy in Phoenix was great.
Yeah, Al McCoy was great. Now, there are some broadcasters that are so good that I'll seek them out. Like Ian Eagle on the Nets broadcast. I don't care about Nets basketball, but he's so good and entertaining that I'll tune in to listen to him.
Yeah. He's another one that's a great guy, too. Really.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Great guy.
But don't you think that ESPN, they're having issues, money issues, right? They have been for a while. Disney stock continues to tumble.
Yeah.
ESPN's paying many dollars for their rights to broadcast these games. My guess is, too, is that they're probably looking to save a few bucks. And you hire the big-time analysts, you're paying big-time dollars.
Yeah, that's for sure. I have to make a confession, though. I don't care about Mariner games because I'm not a fan of their broadcasters. In fact, Rick Riz drives me crazy. I've been listening to him now for decades, and I don't think he has a good feel for baseball. His timing isn't right. I just can't take Rick Riz.
I like Dave Sims. He used to do Sunday Night Football radio for Westwood One.
Yeah.
So I thought he was great on football, and I think he does a fine job in the booth. Rick Grizz is, I was a Dave Niehaus guy. I enjoyed Niehaus, but, Grizz doesn't, he's not my favorite, but I don't despise his work. My favorite broadcasters are, freaking the Giants guys. Krupp and Kuip are amazing.
Yeah, they're the best.
And John Miller is my favorite radio guy. Not because I like the Giants. I just think John Miller, him and Joe Morgan doing Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN was very nice.
I like John Miller. I wasn't a Joe Morgan fan. I used to faithfully read the best early blog on the internet was firejoemorgan.com. It was great. They used to keep track of the thing he says, and then they print it out and make fun of it.
But I also liked Billy Packer on college games with Jim Nantz.
Well, I go back to Al McGuire, and he was hilarious.
Al McGuire was great.
Basketball.
I thought Packer was great because he was not afraid to criticize. And he understood the history of the game, the tournament and everything, so I thought he was great. But again, a lot of this influence is from my childhood, right?
Yeah,
you tend to be who you grow up with, you tend to like. Like John Madden, I love John Madden. I didn't think he was the greatest analyst. Like he wasn't my favorite, but I loved him. I enjoyed Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, and Al Michaels, but a lot of people didn't like that group. I thought they were good.
Well, I think when you had Madden on any game, it was a better game.
Madden and Summerall was a great team.
Yeah. And I think the early days when Don Meredith was on Monday Night Football with Cosell, it was very entertaining.
It's a little bit before my time, but Howard Cosell's a legend, and I'm a big Dick Enberg fan.
Yeah.
Mainly because he was on the call for the majority of the John Elway games that I grew up with because the NBC had the AFC games. Dick Enberg was awesome.
Another guy who could do any sport.
Yeah, what was he doing before he retired and then passed away? I think he was doing San Diego baseball. Yeah, Padres.
He did the Padres.
I remember he saw that kitty cat, and he's like, that's a plump. Meow, meow. Yeah.
I always liked Harry Carey just for the laughs because he was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
He very crazy.
And they were on WGN all the time.
Yeah.
You got the Rip City Drive. All right, if you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to your phone calls here in just a moment. Telephone number is 503-248-0620. Now, Dwight and I's new favorite country singer is Billy Currington. Also a big fan. Your nephew's a big fan, David.
He is.
He's going to be at the Clark County Fairgrounds coming up on August 2nd. Billy Currington. God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy. Yeah, I'm not going to be a country singer anytime soon. If you want a pair of tickets to see Billy Currington in person at the Clark County Fairgrounds, it includes fair admission, which I'm sure in today's world is not cheap. Call now. We'll take the first caller, 503-248-0620. Telephone number is 503-248-0620. Fire away right now. You can get a pair of tickets for Billy Currington, who will be live at the Clark County Fairgrounds. It includes fair admission, and you can enjoy a nice summer evening in Clark County to check out Billy Currington. Fire away right now, 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. I think our boy Scotty Bethune is also going to be out at the Clark County Fairgrounds. He informed us that he's going to Billy Currington. I had no idea that Scotty was a big fan, but he is.
Oh.
I think his wife might be a big country fan. Maybe he is. But, yeah, they're going to hit the show, too. 503-248-0620. And we'll have another pair of tickets for Billy Currington tomorrow. 503-248-0620. All right, Aaron Rodgers. I know a lot of people don't like him for whatever reason, but he is one of the biggest stars in the NFL. But what I like is he's been around long enough to understand the deal. Either you put up or you get thrown out. It's very simple.
Yeah.
That's what makes the NFL great. You got to perform or you're done. Here's Aaron Rodgers talking about pressure.
And I wish I had video.
That's not Aaron Rodgers. I think this is.
Well, I think if I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, then we're all probably going to be out of here. So I like that kind of pressure, though. I know there's, it's a tough market to play in. It's not for everybody. I relish that opportunity.
Gosh, I love that. That's what you want to hear from your franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I relish pressure. I understand that after what happened last season, that this is my final chance to showcase what I can do or I'm done. But he wants that. This is what greats want. They're not looking for easy path.
Right.
They're looking for the pressure because that's what they thrive in. That's what Aaron Rodgers thrives in.
Yeah.
And the reason why the Jets are thrown on national TV 6 times this year is because of him. People want to tune in either to hate on him or to cheer for him.
Well, there's certainly no other reason to put that team on. That's for sure.
No. But people wonder, like, oh, what have the Jets done? Well, they got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And that's a good enough reason for me. I want to watch him play. I'm curious to see what he'll do at his age coming off the Achilles injury.
You just want to see if he can get through the first game without getting hurt again.
Against the 49ers.
Yeah.
Like, who's not going to tune in for that one? I got to see how that's going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
But my guess would be if he's healthy and he stays healthy, he's going to play well.
Mm-hmm.
Because when has he not really played well throughout his career? He normally puts up good numbers. It's not like his arm is, faltered. He's still got a strong arm. He understands offenses. He understands defenses. He's accurate. He does everything. There's nothing he can't do. So if this guy gets the Jets to the playoffs this year, that's quite the accomplishment for Aaron Rodgers. It'd be amazing. What do you expect from him?
Well, I think if he really wants to be that good, he better ignore his offensive coordinator, number one.
He likes him.
I know he does, but he better ignore him.
No, here's how it works. If Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback, the dum-dum, Nathaniel Hackett, will look good. Any offensive guy can look smart when you have Aaron Rodgers running your offense. When Zach Wilson's running your offense, you look dumb.
Yeah, I have a feeling, though, Aaron kind of runs the offense. That's my guess.
Well, of course. But he just wanted his boy with him because he gets along with him. But, yeah.
I have some concerns, Chad, that he's another year older and didn't play all last year. Will his reactions be the same? His processing be the same? All those things that he missed all through last season might take him a few games to kind of get back into the swing.
I would say so. But if healthy, I expect him to play well.
Yeah.
I think the big question would be, can he stay healthy for 17 games?
Well, how about another big question? Has what they done around him really been that good? What is he playing with? Because he's going to need help. And, they've made a lot of changes. It looks good on paper. I want to see it on the field, too.
I just love his voice. Like, some guys, when they talk right away, are like, they're nervous or unsure of themselves. Aaron Rodgers is not lacking self-confidence.
Well, I think if I don't do what I know I'm capable of doing, then we're all probably going to be out of here. So I like that kind of pressure, though.
That's awesome. Teammates will believe in that type of guy. And you know how it goes with quarterbacks. If they make plays and they put you in a position to have success, guys are going to rally behind him.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it shakes out. I don't know. You're weird. Last year you were high on the Jets, and now you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's been out. He was out the whole season. I got to see him again.
Yeah, but it's not like he's ancient. I mean, he's still – I wonder, though, his body probably feels good after a year off, not taking the punishment. Like, I would imagine on some level he'll feel somewhat fresh, right?
Yeah, they better protect him, though. You know, you better make sure he stays upright.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Let's go out to the phones, 503-248-0620. Let's start in Lake Oswego. Let's go out to Brian in Lake Oswego. Brian, welcome to the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. What's on your mind?
Chad, Dwight, thanks for having me on. You guys were talking about announcers, and it just got me thinking, I know Dwight loves wrestling. And so, Dwight, I'm going to pose this question to you.
I'm ready.
Two announcers. Who's the guy? Gorilla Monsoon or your local Portland wrestling announcer, Don Koss?
Well, see, my local Portland announcer would be Frank Bonema before Don Koss. I'd listened to him much longer. So if I had to pick that way, look, Jim Ross is my wrestling announcer, okay? And I think Chad would agree on that, right? Jim Ross is the man.
Dude, I've got thoughts on that. First off, Jim Ross, big Oklahoma fan. He and I became friends when I was down in the Bay Area, and he invited me down when he was doing an appearance down in the Bay Area. So I went down, and he allowed me in the private room where it was a meet and greet, and so I got to hang out with Jim Ross for a few hours. It was awesome. The guy's a stud.
And as far as the color commentator on wrestling, I think you got to go with Bobby the Brain Heenan.
There you go.
What about for you,
that's
Brian?
A Dwight James pick. That's a Dwight James pick. Got to go Mean Gene. It's Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
On the interview. Very cheesy, perfect Vince McMahon hack.
Yeah. He was a Vince Fluffer.
Hey, Dwight.
Yeah.
Dwight, rainy day. I'm about to go coach a baseball game. Any advice? 7th and 8th graders, what do you suggest?
Well, just, I don't know. How good are you? Are you good?
I'm good.
No, I'm talking about the kids.
I was going to say I'm a great
team.
Coach. We're 500, Dwight. We need. What's the pick me up today?
Well, don't worry about the rain. Play it out. A lot of kids don't like playing in the rain. Smile a lot, joke around a little, make it fun for them, and you got the best chance to win that way.
All right. I'm taking advice from the head coach from Columbia Empire Meat. Thank you, Dwight.
Yeah. Who is this? He played for me.
Brian in Lake Oswego.
Oh, Pash. Okay. I know who it is now. Thanks for calling, Brian.
Should have told him to yell at the officials like you're Mike Parker.
Why is he still there? I had him going up when he wasn't.
Yeah, Brian knows I never argued with umpires.
Now, my personal favorite is Don Koss. He is a great friend and a mentor, and he hired me to call high school games for one of his stations that he was based out of Woodburn, and he's awesome. He treated me well, and I learned a lot from him, and he gave me an opportunity when I was young getting my broadcasting career off the ground, so I love Don Koss forever.
Yeah.
Super stud, and had a very successful Spanish station that was based out of Woodburn. Really did well. La Pantera.
Yeah, I liked Bonema because he did it a long time. He also did a little Portland Beaver baseball. And his daughter played in the roller derby, was actually very good in roller derby. And I went out and had the privilege of doing a story with her, which was really fun.
Let's go to Michael, Lake Oswego. Michael, welcome to the show. What's up?
Hey, how are you guys?
Fabulous. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. What I'm going to say is, I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying Travis Demers is awesome. He does a wonderful job. He's great, but he followed a legend, and that's tough, man. Brian Wheeler was, for me, the most fun to listen to ever for basketball play-by-play. No matter what was going on with them, he made it fun. They could be playing lousy. He would get sarcastic. He would he might have a little fit here and there, but I mean, you know, when he's yelling, you know, bang, you know, I mean, just, you know.
No, Michael, I understand exactly what you're talking about. Take a listen to this. This is what I believe is the greatest of Brian Wheeler.
I guarantee you Carlisle will call time if the Blazers score here. They've hit their last 7 from the field. Here's Roy dancing his way left. Now against Kidd, backing him down, 10 to shoot. Roy across the lane, a jump hook, got it! Timeout Dallas! And Rick Carlisle is staggered, stunned, and stupefied. 8:27 remaining, fourth period of game 4. Do you believe in miracles? So it is a 4-point game again. 1:12 and the clock running. Roy had it poked away, got it back from Nowitzki. Now against Marion. Now he pulls up with a 3. Hit is fouled! Yeah! Marion fouled him! A chance to tie the game! 1:06 remaining. What a silly fall! And Roy, this time left no doubt. A 3-pointer and a chance to tie the game as Marion undercut him. Roy has it now against Marion. An all-NBA defender. Brandon gets past him. Jumper in the lane. Banks it in! Timeout Dallas! My eyes don't deceive, so I have to believe. 39.2 seconds remaining. This is simply incredible. The Blazers have come from 23 down and have a 2-point lead at 84-82. 14 seconds for the game. Miller trying to find Roy. Kidd overplaying. Miller still has it. Andre now, top of the key, throws to Roy. Brandon 3 to shoot. Roy, a fadeaway out front from 3, missed it. Rebound Kidd, 3 seconds. Goes ahead to Terry. Get on him, Brandon. A 3 for the win. Missed it. Game over. Somebody's got to pinch me. I must be dreaming. In one of the most incredible games this building has ever seen, in one of the most incredible games this city has ever seen, the Trailblazers rallying from 23 down, closing the game on a 40-15 run, and they rally to beat the Mavericks 84-82. This best of 7 is tied at 2 games apiece, and once again we can say it's a great day to be a Blazer. And has there ever been a better day to be a Blazer? Unbelievable.
There you go.
And
Vintage wheels.
And that Dallas team went on to win an NBA title.
Not that team.
Yeah.
Is that the year?
I thought it was, yeah. I could be wrong.
I think you're right. I think that was the year that Dallas did. Yeah, they went on to beat the Lakers in the next round and then moved on and won a championship.
Beat Miami, right?
That's amazing. And that was the last great game for B. Roy before they ended his career.
Yeah, he was basically a bench player even then.
Yeah, but he mustered up enough to have one great performance. All right, Keith Smith is going to join us next. We'll ask him about the Celtics win last night, the Pacers meltdown, and why more teams don't foul before the three-point shot goes up.
No timeouts. He's got to get it in. Throws to the corner. Jalen forces it up over Siakam. He tied it. He did it. Jalen Brown from the corner with 5.6 to go. And the Pacers have given away game one for the moment. Now can they steal it back?
All right, joining us right now to talk some NBA is a guy who kills it with his coverage from Spotrac and the Front Office Show on Twitter or X at Keith Smith NBA, and he's back on the show. Keith, it's great to have you back on to talk some basketball. Why do you think more teams, and like we saw last night with the Pacers, don't foul before the three-point shot goes up?
I think they're afraid of not getting the foul in time before the guy gets into a shooting motion, and then all of a sudden you may have a 4-point play. That's the only thing I can think of. And the way the Celtics designed that play, they did a really good job of making sure that Jaylen Brown got it in a spot where he could almost go right into the shot. And Pascal Siakam, I think, did a nice job explaining, like, I didn't really have a point where I could foul him. But I do think teams should be more aggressive with it. Now, the fan of me, I hate it. I don't ever want anybody to foul up three because I want to see game-tying shots at least get up on the rim. But strategically, it's the right strategy.
I'm curious, Keith, you watch the Celtics all the time and have been for years. I know that. What about Tatum? He just strikes me as kind of an up-and-down player and not as reliable at the end of games as you'd expect a first-team All-NBA player to be. What's your overall impressions with him and his development as what a lot of people think is a superstar?
Yeah, I get, the comments when people say the things that they say that, Jason Tatum doesn't deliver at the end of games, but he outscored the Pacers by himself in overtime last night. Like, if that's not coming through in the clutch, I don't really know what is. This is a guy who scored 51 points in Milwaukee in a must-win Game 6 and delivered. He delivered against Philadelphia twice in Game 6 and Game 7. Huge games last season when Boston needed those to win. He has his moments, for sure. I get it. But I think he comes through at least as often as he doesn't. And for me, that says it's there. I think part of the reason there's not a lot there is the team has fallen short. They have not won a title yet. They've only been to one finals with this core, despite the fact that since Tatum's rookie year, outside of one season, they've been knocking on the door the entire time. So I think that is where people have a little extra criticism for him, and that's completely fair. They haven't achieved the ultimate goal, but he's the leader of the best team in the league right now. They're now 71-20 combined regular season and playoff scoring margin up over 11, historical stuff. So I don't know, how much more he really is going to have to do.
I will say one thing. He's very fortunate the game went into overtime because he was no points, no assists in the last 9 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I get it. And sometimes I think what happens, too, is there's moments where he's too passive at the end of games where there's a lot of mouths to feed and have been on these Celtics teams, and I think he more often than not makes the right play. And there's times when you'd like to see him, shoot it a little bit more. But he missed some shots last night for sure. But again, I go back to, we can say what he didn't do in the fourth quarter, but we can't say that and ignore what he did do in the overtime period, which was outscore the other team all by himself and lead his team to a win.
Hey, Keith, one thing we noticed with the Celtics is that when they do struggle, the offense, and they've talked about this, it grows stagnant, especially in the fourth quarter where you don't see the movement with the ball or the bodies as much. What do you think is going to be the key for Coach Mazzulla to make sure these guys continue to execute and do it the right way that they've done so often throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, I think what's funny about that, too, is all I do is watch basketball when it's on. And every team in the league gets their best players the ball, and they run a pick and roll into an isolation. It's pretty rare that you see full-on sets called or plays where there's 7-8 guys moving, maybe after a timeout and those kind of things. You'll see that, and you get all these guys moving around the court trying to free somebody up. But for the most part, it's get your best guy the ball and get out of his way. Now, where Boston runs into trouble is by the time they get their best guy the ball, there's like 8 seconds left on the shot clock. And it's just we're in a ridiculous territory because it's going to be a step-back contested jump shot, generally out of Jason Tatum, sometimes out of Jaylen Brown. So I think Joe Mazzulla just, whatever you're going to run it earlier in the clock. And you do see at times he's like out there windmilling his arm, like play faster, let's go, move. And the guys on the court just don't always do it for whatever reason. And that's something where I think he's going to have to push them. And it's funny because I've seen Celtics fans say, well, if they won't do it, bench them. Yeah, that's going to go over real well. Take Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown out, throw Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett on the floor at the end because they'll run plays faster. Yeah, that's not going to be how it goes down.
You mentioned Joe Mazzulla, and I'm curious, what you've thought of his tenure so far as their coach, and whether or not he might be on the hot seat if they don't get to the finals or if they don't win a title.
I don't think he's on the hot seat. He certainly shouldn't be if they go out here in the next 4 games and get embarrassingly blown out by the Pacers, maybe, something changes there. But I think, everybody in the Celtics front office and ownership group is very happy with him. He took over the team on the eve of training camp last year, and this was a guy who was the 4th assistant the year before, and everybody else had left. And his top assistant left in the middle of the season, Damon Stoudemire, because he got a head coaching job at Georgia Tech. And all of a sudden, the team was still winning games. Yeah, they fell short ultimately in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they got there. And then this year they won 64-18 in the regular season. Absolutely, rolled up an incredible record, the historic scoring margin, best offense in NBA history. I don't get where people are coming with the major criticism of him. It seems like when they win it, a lot of people feel like it's in spite of Joe Mazzulla, and when they lose, it's absolutely always his fault. And I don't think either one of those things are true.
We're talking with Keith Smith, focusing in on the NBA playoffs from Spotrac and the Front Office Show. What's the latest you're hearing in regards to the status of Kristaps Porzingis?
Yeah, everything sounds like what Adrian Wojnarowski reported the other night is Game 4 is when they'll bring him back. Now, some have speculated, well, they're only going to do that if they're, down 1-2, or maybe if they're down 2-1 up 2-1 and haven't looked very good. Maybe that's when they'll push him back. But if they're up 3-0 or they've looked good and they're up 2-1, they won't rush him back. They're not going to rush him back either way, but whenever he's ready, they're going to bring him on the floor and play him. And for my opinion, that's the right move. I know people think I'm cocky and smug about this, but I think the Celtics are going to beat the Pacers and get to the NBA Finals, and the goal is to win a title. You want Porzingis out there, knock that rust off now in these games. You do not want his first game to be, let's roll him out there, game 1 of the NBA Finals. I've even seen some people say, well, don't play him until you really need him, even if it's in the NBA Finals. And to my point is, what, are you going to save him till Game 7? Like, that's not how this works. In my opinion, when players are cleared and ready, you play him. Now, if he's not ready or if he feels anything at all, you pull him out, you go back to trying to get him right. But once he's ready, get him on the floor.
Okay, Keith, I know you spent a lot of time covering the league, too, and this question is bouncing around a lot in the last few days. What do you think the Knicks ought to be doing this summer? What should they be adding or subtracting or trying to keep? How do you see their summer going?
Yeah, I don't have an issue if the Knicks kind of more or less run it back and hope for better health out of guys that have generally been pretty healthy. I think there's a world where they might be the second best team in the East if they come back with their guys healthy. That said, everything indicates they're going star hunting and they're going to try to add somebody. Who that's going to be, I don't really know, because trading for Donovan Mitchell doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. You have Jalen Brunson. That's not a great fit. Together, those two guys in your backcourt, and that's going to cost you basically all your assets. So I'm not sure who it's going to be that they're going to go after. The history tells me, I've been doing this for a long time, someone no one's talking about right now is going to become available in the next month, and they're going to be on the market, whether that be like I don't want to speculate, but I think the Knicks are going to do what they can to try to get another star. And I think they are looking at it a little bit of the mindset of, all right, well, we have Randall's contract, we have Bogdanovich's contract, we can only do this for so long. Let's try to go get a star right now. But I think there's a world where just run it back, re-sign OG Anunoby, and go with that group.
Hey, Keith, wanted your take on the Dallas Mavericks. They've made a couple of big swings, and it's paid off. And Jason Kidd has gotten Kyrie and Luka to really mesh well together on the floor, and their defense down the stretch has been terrific. What are your thoughts on the job Kidd has done with that group?
He's done a great job getting Luka and Kyrie to trust their teammates. The level of faith they've put in P.J. Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, that those guys are going to make plays, and they're going to be there when they need them. That's been awesome, and that's what you need to have if you're going to win a championship. You can't have Luke and Kyrie coming around the corner and that guy's open, but I don't trust him, so I'm going to force a shot. You're not going to win that way, and that's been good. And Jason Kidd has that team playing really good defense too. If you just look at their personnel, you'd kind of be like, all right, this guy's kind of okay. This guy's kind of okay. But as a team, they've really do a nice job. And I'm really excited for this series with Minnesota. I think this is going to be an all-timer. There's so many fun matchups across the board in this one.
I got to ask you, Keith, we've been kind of surprised by the job Jason Kidd has done. And with that team, getting them to play together and integrating Kyrie into that team, and then also their defensive improvement. Have you always been sold on Kidd as a coach? Did you expect something like this, or what did you think of the job he's done?
Not at all. I was not a big Jason Kidd fan, and I kind of was confused a little bit when the Mavericks hired him. I thought he did nice things at times with the Bucks. I thought he did okay things at times with the Nets. When he had them, but I was a little like, I don't really get it, but he really has done a nice job with this team. One thing you consistently hear is players like playing for him and they feel well prepared and they're in the right spots. I think where he gets in trouble is if the other team throws something at him that they're really not expecting, he struggles, I think, to kind of get the team where they need to be. But for the most part, I think he does a really nice job with getting his guys ready, and they execute well on both ends of the floor.
Hey, Keith, it's not official yet, but, the latest reports would indicate that the NBA's TV deal is nearing conclusion in terms of finding new partners. It looks like it could be NBC, ESPN, and Amazon as the streaming option. Well, what are you hearing around the league in regards to the shift from TNT to NBC and the work the NBA is doing to get their contracts locked in?
Yeah, the big thing is everybody's excited about it's going to be $7 billion a year that's coming into the league, and we're going to be in an unprecedented place where, they did a nice job in the CBA of saying no more cap spikes, because we would have probably had going into the 25-26 season when that kicks in, we probably would have had about a 25 or 30% cap spike, and now that's been capped artificially at 10% until it'll roll over at 10 until it catches up to getting everything in there. So I think that's got everybody excited. The big thing that I'm hearing kind of people lament in that is if TNT goes away, what happens inside the NBA, and where does that show go? It's been such a hallmark of the coverage of the league, and my opinion on it is you don't watch that show for serious basketball analysis, but you watch it because it's fun, and they have a lot of fun. They have a great time, and as an East Coaster, I'm watching that at 1 and 1:30 in the morning.
Sure.
A lot of times, kind of closing out my night, and it's a nice, easy way to close out the night and have a good time. So I know I'm going to miss it if it goes away, and it sounds like that's probably where we're headed. Maybe somebody tries to keep the guys together as much as they can, but Ernie Johnson has said he's going to stay with Turner because he feels loyal to them throughout his career, and if he does that, it's just not going to have the same magic.
Mm. Well, Keith, we appreciate the time. Keith Smith, you can follow him on X at Keith Smith NBA, Spotrac, and the Front Office Show. You do a great job, man. Enjoy these games, a couple of series with unexpected teams competing for a chance to go to the finals, which makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a great season. I'm super excited to watch the finish and go into what should be a really fun offseason. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it. There's Keith Smith. Well, he's where you and I come out. Didn't expect Jason Kidd to be a good coach or do a good job at Dallas and didn't understand the hire. I'm in the same boat. And look at him now, getting it done.
Yeah. Well, they didn't want him here in Portland, or at least the fans didn't. So
Dame did until he saw the reaction of the fans.
Yeah, and then the fans reacted poorly, and that was it. But he can coach. Nobody seems too concerned about his past in Dallas right now.
It's amazing how winning can solve a lot of issues, isn't it?
Yeah, sure can.
All right, Shaq, you got any birthday music? Hit me with some birthday music.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Beatles, right?
Hmm?
They don't play this at Moda Center anymore.
Yeah. You say it's your birthday.
They changed it to some other birthday song.
Well, it is Raider Mike's birthday today.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah, let's check in with the great Raider Mike. Raider Mike, happy birthday, my friend.
What's up, my man?
What's up? Happy
How you
birthday.
guys?
What do you got cracking right now?
Well, I'm going to go in and watch Dallas here in a second. I just got ran out of a poker game, so I'm kind of depressed right now.
Ran out because you got beat, or ran out because you were taking people's money?
No, I got my butt kicked. I haven't won 3 games. So
Sorry
anyway, I got Dallas coming. Should be a great game. My birthday present was a $600 engine repair. That was my birthday present.
Well, that's a darn good birthday present, man. No one likes to pay for car repairs. That's awesome.
This is after I treat myself to a $70 putter. You know, so
I respect that. How much you
know.
pay for your putter, Godfather? More than 70?
For my what?
Your putter. You know, golf, the game that we talk about all the time?
I think I paid probably around 200.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Whoa.
I need all the help I can get. How did you buy a putter for $100?
Did you buy the Rodney Dangerfield
Was that a Sears
special?
and Roebuck putter? What is that?
He's mad because he got ripped off at his club, and you
I get a discount at my club.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I buy a good putter, man. No, seriously.
Well, anyway.
Where did you get a putter for $100?
No, 70.
That's under $100.
Well, I'm not married no more, Dwight. I don't get questions no more.
Doesn't have anything.
You know what I mean?
Marriage can be more expensive. Can be.
Yeah, putters don't bother me much.
Cost me a ton of money.
And where are you at right now? You out in Happy Valley, or which part of town you in, dog?
No, I'm in Boring, next to the mountain.
Oh, boring.
How did you find a big money? Are there a lot of big money poker games out that way?
There's probably some underground poker games out in Boring, I bet.
Well, my cousin's kind of been around this area for decades, so yeah, this is a poker game out on this hill. So yeah,
Well, you're the man. See, I tell you what, if he wouldn't have played poker, he would have gotten the $200 putter. It sounds like the poker went bad, so he settled for the $70 putter.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay any money for my putter. I got the Odyssey. My buddy Alex bought a brand new Odyssey. He used it, hated it, and said, "You want a putter?" I said, "Yeah, sounds good." I went in, and my coach was like, "Dude, it fits you perfectly." So I've been using it ever since.
How much would a new Odyssey cost?
More than I would want to pay for it.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. That's like a Scotty Cameron. Those are expensive putters.
I can't believe how much drivers cost now, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's another $450.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, golf it's a real bad addiction. Because everywhere you turn, you got money flying out of your pocket. It's like kids.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop paying it, but it's just, dang it.
I know you're not going to stop paying it. You're too addicted.
It's true. Did you go Odyssey?
No.
Did you go McGregor?
No, Ping.
Oh, Ping.
McGregor. That's
Dude,
funny.
I had that McGregor mallet for forever.
Yeah.
And finally, once I got the free Odyssey, I was out. Bye-bye, McGregor.
Now, that Odyssey's a nice putter.
It is. It's good. All right, we'll come back. Rich Burke, voice of the Hops, is going to join us, talk a little baseball here on the Rip City Drive. Yeah, Dwight and I just looked it up. McGregor Golf is still alive and well.
Discount clubs.
Full set and bag for $349.
Nice.
All right. Well, let's play this for Rich Burke before we bring him on.
Well, I think if
Oh, come on, Aaron Rodgers. Quit trying to jump in front of this guy.
20 and 21 of the 2 games at Stanford in the playoffs in 82. Trotsky takes high and in. Oh, my goodness. No. No. That's terrible. That is terrible. That is terrible.
He's so good.
I'm telling you that he took the pitch high and inside for ball 3, and it was called strike 3 on Jabin Trotsky. And you heard me, and I apologize, but not too much.
Rich Burke, voice of the Hops, joining us right now. Rich, have you ever removed your headset and taken a moment to communicate with the umpire and then casually put your headset back on and continued your call with the smooth and ease of transition like Mike Parker?
No. Are you kidding? No.
I bet you.
I want you to.
I bet you felt like it a few times, though. You wanted to, I bet.
Yeah, there have been a couple of times. I tend to keep my emotions in check. Full disclosure here, Mike is one of my best friends. And I heard
I love him.
I'm driving into the ballpark today, and I heard you guys going over and playing his things over and over. I trust you're giving equal time when the time is right to his championship calls and such.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely. We love Mike Parker, and we love his emotion and stuff. I just love the fact that he can casually remove headset, communicate, and then slide it back on and continue the call with no problem.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
And Rich, you remember the old press box when the Beavers played in what was Civic Stadium or PGE Park. The press box was right down behind home plate. I had a few episodes just like that when I was writing for newspapers here in Portland covering the Beavers. I had a few of those. Yeah.
Wait, episodes where you saw Mike do that, or where you yourself yelled at the officials?
Oh, no, I did. I wouldn't say
yelled.
You
did?
Oh, well, I wouldn't even say yelled because we were so close. I mean, he didn't have to
You could
yell.
just talk to him.
Yeah, sometimes he was just eavesdropping on me when I would say, what kind of call is that? Or something. And you see a guy, sorry, Jim Joyce, wheel around and look at you like, what did you say? Nothing.
Funny story about that press box down. Now, people need to understand the press box at the ballpark in Portland was at ground level.
Yeah.
And so it was great for calling pitches. It was terrible for balls into the outfield. Like, if you were looking at a ball going down into the right field corner, you had no idea if anybody was rounding third base. There was no peripheral vision.
Yeah.
But the Portland Rockies moved there in 1995 from Bend. And here I am coming over from Bend. I lived with my wife in Portland, but I'd worked the summer at 94 in Bend, and lo and behold, the team comes over. And trying to make a name for myself in the community. And frankly, at the time, I wasn't very good. And opening night, we can't get on the air. There's some issue. I don't know what it was. And very few people had cell phones at the time, but Dwight had one. And here's this icon of Portland sports media that, a simple swipe of his keyboard and he can make or break careers. And I have to go ask Dwight if I can borrow his cell phone to call the radio station to see if I felt like such a heel.
I can't believe I let you do it.
And you did. This guy's going to think I'm
What
such
a
an
guy you
amateur.
are.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, the Hops coming off a 4-0 shutout of Vancouver last night, getting ready for their matchup tonight. Where are the Hops at right now? What's your take after last night?
Starting pitching's amazing. Over the last 13 games, the Hops starting pitching, the ERA is 0.96.
Whoa.
It's remarkable. And we went from, let's see, I talked to you guys a couple of weeks ago, and we had basically just kind of started this run here with our starting pitching being so good, and the bullpen hadn't been half bad either, other than a couple of notable meltdowns. But we had just started this run. At that time, the Hops were like fourth in the league in ERA, and now we're fourth among 120 minor league teams in ERA. So it's been that good lately. And Spencer Giesting will be on the hill for the Hops tonight. He's on a fast track to the big leagues. You know, we've had 53 of our players make it to the major leagues, and Giesting's one of those who, over the next couple of years, figures to get there. He's sixth in minor league baseball in batting average against, second in the minor leagues in ERA, third in walks and hits per innings pitched. So he's very good, and we're looking forward to seeing him again tonight.
Rich, I want to ask you about something, kind of a sad thing in the Northwest League, I think, for everyone involved in the league over time. But apparently the bond measure in Eugene failed, and they're not going to get that new ballpark built for the Emeralds, and it looks like they're going to lose their team, right?
It is such a shame, yeah. I know that the GM down there, Alan Benavides, is just – he's gutted by the vote, and it went down big.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't close. And I don't understand it. Going to games there at the old Civic Stadium, which was one of my favorite places ever to call a game. It was like something right out of the natural. They would fill that place up routinely. Now, granted, it was a short season league. The season started in the middle of June and went through Labor Day, so you always had good weather. But they would fill that place up routinely. So they haven't drawn as well since moving over to PK Park, and although during the summer they certainly do well, it's just all in all it's a disappointment. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully they can do some creative thinking and get something figured out there, because I would hate to see the league lose a team that has been there. The only seasons they weren't there since the league came into existence in 1955 was 69-73 when they were a Phillies AAA team.
Yeah, I remember that too. Rich, is there a city lined up that you could see on the horizon to replace them?
That's a good question. I don't know. Somebody would have to pony up the funds to get the type of ballpark that Major League Baseball is asking for.
Yeah, moving
and who's
forward,
that going to be? Is it Vancouver, Washington? I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem moving forward, I think. Getting a commitment to get those kinds of ballparks built, it's not going to be easy.
No, it's not. And I think that's something that's in favor of Eugene right now as they try to navigate these waters and continue to play and share. And the ballpark there is fine. The issue is they don't have the full clubhouse facilities that they need.
Yeah.
That's one problem, but it's also sharing it with a college baseball team that takes precedence over you during the early months of the season. But as they try to navigate this, until another city steps up and says, okay, we'll build you that ballpark, there's nowhere for the M's to go.
Rich Burke, voice of the Hops, is with us. Hops and Canadians coming up. The broadcast will start at 6:20. Rich, we appreciate your time, my friend. We're going to be listening tonight, Dwight and I, to see if you communicate with the umpires.
Yes, we
Don't
are.
disappoint us.
That's terrible.
That's very good. You're doing great, Rich.
We love it. All right, have a great call tonight, buddy.
Okay, thanks a lot.
There you go. Rich Burke, Hops and Canadians coming up at 6:20. Big thanks to Keith Smith for stopping by and joining us today. Michael Shacker for being the man.
Yeah.
And always being alert to what Mike Parker's doing so we can get it out to the masses.
He'll be listening tomorrow, too.
I think we have to talk about, I love this. You can check this out. Get your 3-wood, your driver, and a hybrid. 6, 7, 8, 9 irons and a pitching wedge and a putter. And the McGregor bag for $349. You can't beat that, Godfather.
Well, I'll tell you what, though. If you're just starting to play golf, you're playing on a public course, get involved. You can get in cheap like that. If you don't like the game, you're not out that much money. And trust me, you're getting a real bargain, because Chad and I have both spent a little more money than that on clubs.
What's amazing about Bryson DeChambeau, he on his YouTube channel, he did a round with the Walmart Stoddard set, and he did well. Just crushing the ball.
But he made his own irons, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little beyond me.
Yeah, that's a little high level right
Even
there.
the handyman I hired wouldn't be able to build me a set of clubs.
All right. Oh, yeah, and a big thanks to Mike Parker for just being himself. We love him so much.
Yeah.
We'll leave the show with him.
That's terrible. That is terrible.